want to have happiness professionally, find a big problem. Make that problem go away, solve it. Make it super easy for people to consume whatever it is that you're doing. You can change the world without any entitlement. What do you mean you're starting a company?
I do see that from entrepreneurs from all over the world come here with nothing, $50 in their back, and they're changing the world. What are some of those problems?
A new kind of challenge emerged.
How did you find those problems? What was like the big, real challenge that you had to go after?
If you want to be a founder and create something great, that's your life. And if you're not thinking about it all day long, if it doesn't bring you joy to disrupt and to change, don't waste your time.
Maine. Welcome everyone to Playbook. We are here today with Fred Voccola. Fred, great to see you.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for being
so
here.
much for coming in. We're live from Wynwood, Miami today in a really cool loft.
This is a cool loft.
Hopefully it was easy to find.
Easy to find. This is awesome. I've been all around the world at all different kinds of places, and this is special.
Well, it's great to have you on the Playbook. Why don't we just get started a little bit about yourself? You know, I could go over it, but I'd love to hear from you. Who are you? What are you doing? A little bit about your background.
Yeah.
And then we'll take it from there.
Sure. So I moved to Miami now. I came to Miami for university in 1992, or 1993, actually. I was lucky enough to get a scholarship. I grew up in New Jersey. And for those of you listeners who may be familiar with New Jersey, it's not necessarily the nicest place in the world. So I was lucky enough to get a scholarship, come down here, and I fell in love with the city. You know, where I grew up in New Jersey, there was a lot of economic diversity, but everyone was either an Italian immigrant, an Irish immigrant, or a Polish immigrant.
We're in Jersey. What part of Jersey?
Monmouth County.
Monmouth
County, yeah. And so when I came down to Miami, and this is before the internet, we didn't have cable TV growing up. But this is, you know, I hadn't, Benson was diversity for me, the TV show. And it was different. You know, the Latin culture, seeing people dancing. I mean, when you're a 17-year-old kid growing up in New Jersey, a Friday night is going to the tracks with a, quarter keg of beer and just sitting around drinking beer. Coming down here, people would dance, they had fun, people hugged their friends, and it was, it was flight or fight. And I loved the city. I fell in love with it. It was just the energy, everything was awesome. And I said to myself, if I got lucky enough, I'll come back here. Now, back then there wasn't a lot of economic opportunity in Miami. Either you're selling drugs, you're working for a cruise line, or you're working at a hotel.
So is this the years of the cocaine cowboys?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. It was snowing in Miami every day. But the energy was awesome. And the warmth of the people and as an adult now, I know what it is. It's that immigrant chip on the shoulder vibe. If I want to get better, I want to do something better. And it's cool to be around it. So I fell in love with the city. So fast forward, I was only able, for various financial reasons, others, to stay at University of Miami for 1 year. So I had to transfer colleges. And I started my first company, my junior year of college, software company. Got a little lucky, sold it, made a little bit of money. And so I got into the tech world. And I was still thinking I'm going to come back to Miami at some point. So, I sold that company, went to work for the company who bought us. That company, we went public. Now, this is the early 90s. This is when there was less than $1 billion in total venture and private equity assets in technology.
It's wild.
Right.
Compared to now.
And I was so lucky that I got exposed to all of this at the age of 22 as an executive or as a founder. Like I never would have found it. I was so lucky, just so damn lucky. And that's one of the themes of my life. I've been surrounded by very, very lucky people. I'm very lucky to be surrounded by smart people.
Were you raised around entrepreneurs or was that...
So, and I was getting there. So I was in New Jersey. I had the best parents in the world. Everyone's got your parents were wonderful.
They're amazing. I love you. Love you, mom and dad.
But no one had better parents. How's that for a safe way of saying it? And my mom was just the greatest woman. Her empathy was a mile wide and 1,000, just an incredible one. Do anything for anyone. My dad, my father, was one of the most entrepreneurial, innovative people of his era. I always said if my father was born 25 years later, he and Elon Musk would be hanging out and competing for the richest person in the world.
Amazing.
He grew up immigrants, dirt poor, military, got him to go to college, the whole Vietnam era, that kind of stuff. I worked in the intelligence community and then for the government for a while doing some stuff. And this is the early days of computers. And then he went to the private sector. I would say we grew up very humble. My dad got rich after I was an adult. All right. So I probably would have more dates if he got rich 10 years earlier. Thanks, Dad, up in heaven. But long story short, so one of the companies that he founded and started was the company that invented electronic toll collection system, EasyPass.
It's a big one.
Very big one. I remember, most of your listeners probably don't remember having to stop at a toll booth when a gate went down and either throw coins or change money to come out.
Coin in the bucket.
Yeah, so you'd have huge lines at these toll booths. And that went away. And I remember watching that journey, and I was just like, holy shit, this is just like, what, you can do this stuff. And later on, he was at the company, one of the principals, and they founded the company that invented in-vehicle navigation. So today everyone uses Waze or Google, but he was one of the principals at navigation technologies and completely changed how people don't get lost. And I remember him telling me this, if you want to have happiness professionally, find a big problem. Make that problem go away, solve it. Make it super easy for people to consume whatever it is that you're doing. And not only will you make a ton of money, but the money will come, the money will go. You're helping people and you're having fun doing it.
Totally.
And I got addicted to it. I got addicted to it because I got addicted to watching my father struggle and fight and solve these problems. I mean, it wasn't as if all of a sudden they came up with EasyPass one day. It was a relatively very modest family, and it took 10 years for that to get put in place. So it was super neat to see it. So that guided me, and then when I was going back to university, I thought I wanted to be a Wall Street dude. I was very naive. And I remember interviewing for all of the internship programs at like JP Morgan, before JP Morgan Chase, and Goldman and Lehman Brothers, Solomon Brothers, people that are no longer around. And I couldn't get any of them to hire me for this internship program. And so that's when I decided to start a software company by accident. And when I started that company, and I tell this, I speak a lot to young kids, and today it's cool to be a software entrepreneur. Here we are in Wynwood.
Yeah.
Here we are in this beautiful loft. It's cool. Mark Zuckerberg is cool. I was ostracized. Why aren't you at Goldman? Why aren't you working at McKinsey? You're a loser. What's your salary again? I'm like, I don't have a salary. Like, what are you doing? I'm living in my parents' house because I'm starting a company. What do you mean you're starting a company? And, I like to have those conversations now with those same people, but it's just been a great journey. And so that's how I got into this whole tech world. And I love it. I absolutely love the fact that I believe this is still the purest meritocracy industry, that is the purest meritocracy in the world. I don't give a shit who your parents are, what your last name is, what color you are, what religion you are, what gender you are, it doesn't matter. You can deliver innovation. You can change people's lives. You can change the fucking world, and you can do it without any entitlement.
I love that 100%. And I do see that from entrepreneurs from all over the world come here with nothing, $50 in their back, and they're changing the world. So let's talk about a little bit about the companies that you've been instrumental in scaling, and maybe talk about some of like the product markets, right? Let's find a problem to solve and let's go solve it. So what are some of those problems?
Yeah.
How did you find those problems? What was like the big real challenge that you had to go after?
I'll tell you a couple stories, the ones I've started.
Cool.
So one of them is a company called Identify Software. That's the company I grew up in, right? I'm a co-founder, a gentleman, Yochi Slonim, my mentor, second smartest person in the world I've ever met after my father.
I did see him speak on stage at your conference, The Coming Disruption, a couple weeks ago, and he was probably one of the highlights.
He's just a wonderful human being, super smart.
Yeah.
So, we did Identify Software together. So let's go back to 2000. A couple of things started happening in 2000. We talk about the internet. Many listeners here probably don't remember the world before the internet. Forget consumer applications. The internet's the hammer really struck in disrupting business-to-business operations with the internet. It was astounding, some of the things that businesses could do. So the new type of application, web applications, experienced different problems than its predecessor. Before internet applications, most applications were on a computer. They were what were called thick client or client-server applications. Everything was managed and controlled in one area. With the internet, now everything spreads out. I'm trying to simplify things a bit. And a new kind of challenge emerged. And that was for people to get the full power of these internet applications, supply chain, ERP, CRM, you name it. The applications had to perform. So if you click on a button and the result comes back 75 seconds later, that's not good. That's called a performance problem. Well, performance problems, everyone talks about them today, but in the year 2000, 2001, 2002, It was a new type of thing. So Yoki, credit Yoki, he had the idea. I was just a knucklehead that followed him around and did whatever he told me to do and learned. I was like 24 or something. And he said, we're going to solve that because we're going to build a technology that will allow us to immediately identify when there is a performance problem proactively before 100 users start complaining, tell you what the root cause is for it, fix it. It was the first APM company ever called Identify Software. We scaled it, sold it for a couple $100 million 3-4 years later. And today, the APM business is a $50 to $100 billion business. And the problem that we were solving, Yoki had such good vision, was every, and I mean every, business in the world is going to need to rely on applications that are engaging in internet protocols or else they're done. And they're all going to have performance issues. So we built that business. It was a tough time. 9/11 happened, destroyed our offices in New York. We had a lot of challenges at that time. But that was an amazing journey. Amazing journey. If I could do it again, I wouldn't have sold it so damn early. I'd still be running, and we'd be
the $30 billion
$30 billion company.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, Dynatrace is the company that owns that market now. And, looking back, I would love to have been the one that put our foot on Dynatrace's head. But we did well.
I love it. And then from there, you went on and did some more great things. So tell us about the rest of the journey.
Yeah.
What was next?
Another one was I did a fintech company. We were talking about fintech earlier before we jumped on. Company was called Trust. So it's a very niche market. So after Identify, we did very well in the exit or the sale of the company. And I was looking for something to do, and I was banging around New York City at the time. I was living in Miami, but I grew up in Jersey, had some friends up in there. And so a buddy of mine was in financial services, and he was in working capital management. And he's like, man, this industry is it's ancient. I mean, people barely use electricity in this industry. It's so freaking ancient. So I'm like, all right, let's take a look. So I spent 3 months, a guy named Joe Abertelli and Dave DePiro. And I spent 3 months just looking with them at their industry. And and saw a really, really big opportunity. So for small to mid-sized businesses, companies of 10 million to maybe $1 billion in revenue, most of them use their account receivables as the primary collateralization for their working capital finance.
Yes.
Right. Now, most banks will only lend 30 to 60%. They'll advance 30 to 60%, or they'll allow you to collateralize 30 to 60% of those receivables for your facility. And that's kind of strange. Why? And as we looked into it, we said, all right, well, why don't people insure these receivables? And there are account receivable insurance products. Euler, Coface, Atradius, a bunch of people do it. AIG, you get back in the day. So when those receivables were insured, the advance rate didn't change. So we're like, wait a minute. You're telling me if the counterparty to these receivables is pre-meltdown AIG, back then arguably the most financially stable organization in the world, why won't you advance 90% against AIG's paper? Turns out that these insurance products, like most specialty insurance products, talk about cyber later, they're not worth the paper they're written on. They have so many compliance conditions that have to be followed in order to be eligible for a claim. And so I was like, wait a minute. So we looked at these policies. These policies are pretty simple. And we said, we're going to build a product, SaaS product. This is the early days of SaaS. We're going to build a SaaS product. And what we're going to do is we're going to monitor the compliance of these companies' receivables to see in real time.
Super smart.
If they are compliant. And then we go to the banks. We go to PNC, all the mid-market lenders, and say, listen, if I can guarantee to you, guarantee is a strong word, but if I can show you that this portfolio of receivables is insured and meeting the compliance standards, will you raise your advance rate to 80, 90%? Absolutely. We want to put more money out. Great. We patented the technology. Here's the solution. And we became the largest credit insurance provider in the world within 9 months.
Wow.
The way we monetized it.
9 months, you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
The way we monetized it, at least in North America, the way we monetized it was we became an insurance broker, and we gave our technology for free if we were the broker. Insurance brokers and specialty products make about 20% of the premium. So we were running billions of dollars of premium through our platform. And the The next thing that happened was the financial crisis happened about 10 weeks after we started the company. And that might have been the best thing that could happen for us because no one could get working capital.
Right.
Even General Electric was having a tough time getting commercial paper pushed. So our platform became so in demand that we couldn't keep up with the processing power.
Wow.
And so we sold that business to FGI Global. We completely changed that industry. That was a lot of fun. We were able to make sure small to mid-sized businesses could get access to capital, and they would realize who their bad debtors are, and they would change their terms for it. That was just a
Amazing fintech story.
Yeah.
But no longer in fintech.
Well, no longer in fintech.
No longer in fintech. So was fintech something like a one and done type of thing? Do you have fintech just like, were there other opportunities you wanted to explore past that, or?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I'm an East Coast guy. I spent some time in.
So you know New York, you know the financial services world.
Yeah,
your friends are in these
yeah,
world.
and it stopped being about money and it started being about having fun.
Yeah.
And fintech wasn't a thing then. Actually, technically, it was an insurtech solution.
Right.
Right. And it was so obvious. Like it was so obvious when we looked at it. It was like it took like 3 days, and we're like, we can make some serious money and have some serious fun doing it. We can hire our friends. And that's a fun industry. The people that deal in specialty insurance products, they're usually the last people to leave a bar.
Right.
And I was still young enough to where that lifestyle was kind of fun. So, after that, came the Kaseya journey. And, Kaseya, here in Miami, we're, one of the biggest, if not the biggest non-cruise line commercial employers.
Yeah, you see Kaseya logo on the buildings in Brickell. You see it on the
Stadium.
arena.
Yeah.
Kaseya is well known when you walk around Brickell. You see all the Kaseya staff walking around.
Yeah, so Kaseya was interesting. So Kaseya was an asset. Insight Partners used to be called Insight Venture Partners. Insight Partners had it, and it was struggling. So this was when I didn't start. I took it over and restarted it. So they call me a co-founder of it, but it was a business founded by a guy named Gerald Blackie way back in the day. And the business problem that Kaseya originally started 25 years ago was when Dell started emerging with online computer purchases, it disrupted the entire VAR channel.
Right.
So the way people, and this sounds so archaic now saying it, but the way businesses, small to mid-sized businesses, would buy computing equipment is they would go to, Jose and Melissa's VAR, IT guys or IT gals in Wynwood, and they would go and buy 6 computers and 4 monitors and 3 keyboards, and, they make the VAR would get a 30 or 40% margin on it, charge $150 an hour to wire the cable, and that was a business. Dell disrupted it. Michael Dell's brilliant.
Yes.
That's the reason he is who he is. And he said, well, wait a minute, this is stupid. There's a new thing called the internet. And now that Fred and Yoki came up with APM software, we can actually do it, right? It's a joke. But, he disrupted all those VARs and said, buy it direct and buy it 15% cheaper, 20% cheaper. So now these VARs weren't getting the 30 to 40% margin on selling the hardware. They're getting 3 to 8. And then they would still make their $100 or $200 an hour doing the installations, but they couldn't survive. You cannot survive as a business that way. So Kaseya started by saying, all right, back then, as today, computers break. They're complicated. They don't always do what we want them to do. And in 2001, 2, and 3, they were new.
Right.
I mean, no one knew what a bus was or a driver or the registry, right, or file. I mean, no one knew any of this stuff.
The super nerds knew. The people that were, the people that the Wall Street people did not like knew.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Someone would say, "Hey, go to your office, open this window," and you'd see the person going like and opening a window on the side of their office instead of opening a window on the machine. But
it's like on Zoolander, the files are in the computer.
Yeah, exactly right. It's great. Yeah. So what Gerald said was, all right, we're going to build a product called RMM, Remote Monitoring and Management. It allows an IT nerd, someone like me, to manage hundreds of people's computers remotely. And I'm doing it proactively. So I things like I'll put a policy in place that says if your hard drive is getting close to being maxed out, flush it so there's no room, so they don't have a problem. They don't call us.
Proactive. Yeah.
And so built a little company here in town, here in Miami, called Kaseya. Actually built it out in Silicon Valley first. And the company did okay, did pretty well, and Insight bought it. And sometimes when private equity firms buy companies, they exit founders maybe a little too early, or different things happen. So Kaseya started struggling. And, I came in and we looked at it and we said, this is a monster opportunity, because here's the TAM and here's the problem. The TAM is every single IT servicing company on the planet needs to use this technology. But the bigger play wasn't the RMM technology. The bigger play was cybersecurity started to become a thing. Ransomware started to become real.
Right.
And this was disrupting the world. So we said, we're going to build a platform where RMM is the anchor. And then we're going to have every other aspect of cybersecurity and IT management associated in one integrated platform. In essence, build Microsoft Office, but instead of office productivity software, build IT and cybersecurity management software for that managed service provider. And here's why we wanted to do it. The average managed service provider runs at about an 11% profit margin, which is like a grocery store. It's garbage. Now, that 11% profit margin is 11% because they spend upwards of 40% of their revenue on the software and hardware that they use to deliver those managed services. So we said, we're going to build, construct, buy a platform, put it together, integrate it, and then charge 1/3 as much as they got themselves. So what we did at Kaseya, we can talk about all the cool AI-based technology we had. I mean, we had and have. I mean,
you've been thinking about AI for 20 years, longer.
And I'm still the largest shareholder at Kaseya. I'm still vice chairman of it. So I keep saying we, even though I'm not CEO and I don't run it day to day, but it's still my baby and I love it to death. What we have done at Kaseya is we changed the unit economics of that entire industry. So these MSPs, instead of running at 7, 8, 9, 10% margin, net margin, are running 25 to 30%. And it went from, a few $1 million up to $1.5 billion, and it'll be 3 and 4 and 5 and 10. It'll be one of the most dominant software companies in the world.
Absolutely. And so I think that's a very important point. Let's talk about that margin multiplication that's going to happen. Yeah. So when you go to market at Kaseya or elsewhere, do you think that's a super important thing to talk about and explain how companies can increase their margin profiles? Or is that something they learned after the fact? Or what was the wedge to go to these MSPs and start really no brainer, done?
Yeah. So if you think about, what an MSP does every day, if I'm an actual MSP, the first thing is any entrepreneur, if they're not living the life of their customer, literally doing it, just don't do something else. Don't waste your time.
Totally.
No one, Musk, Gates, no one is smart enough to understand what problems they're solving if they're not either personally experiencing them or riding shotgun with someone who's experiencing it. I don't care who they are. That being said, what we at Kaseya, our customers are using 18 different things to do their job. For example, they have to use things to back up stuff.
Right.
They have to use things to protect against ransomware. They have to use things to monitor operating systems, all these nerdy things that they have to do. And quite frankly, they're all commoditized.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm backing up your applications or your data, there's 50 vendors that can do it, and they all do it equally well. You may like where one button is versus the other, but in 2026, in the AI era, dude, I can write a backup solution in 3 months that's as good as anything out there in the world. And I'm a software guy saying that, and it kind of hurts to say, but it's true. And anyone who doesn't believe that, I'd love to compete with.
It is amazing how coding has really evolved.
Yeah, so what we changed at Kaseya, every software vendor out there is saying, here's why my widget's better. Here's why my widget's better. I have a better feature, a better button. This is better. That's better. But they don't tie it to value because, Moore's Law, eventually the returns are nominal.
Totally.
So we said, look, we do have the best products, and we do. Our technology is the best. But if we're the best and you're second best, we're 0.01% better than you. I mean, who notices the difference between Michael Jordan and LeBron James? I mean, come on, we take either one of them. They're both going to help us win a championship, right? I'd prefer Jordan, you prefer James, but they're both out of the world ridiculous. And if we're a high school team, we would take either one and we'd win, right? So what we said was, yes, we have the best kit. Yes, we've integrated it. But dude, you're spending of your $1 million of revenue, $300,000 on stuff. With us, you're spending $100,000. So that $200,000 goes right into your pocket. So that means that you can buy a new house, pay for your kids' school. I mean, these are real conversations with real human beings. And it literally changed the game. So everyone else, all those other competitors that were much bigger than Kaseya back in the day, they're all looking up from the ground asking, hey, how do we mess up? And they messed up because they followed the same playbook. They didn't evolve. They kept making it about the next feature instead of making it about how do I change my customer's life? And that's what we did.
Customer is always right. Or is customer not always right?
Customer's not always right.
So talk to me about that. Being super close to the customer and maybe give some guidance. And I want to be hand in hand with my customer, know them in and out, but I also have to push back.
Best example of all time, Henry Ford.
Okay.
If I gave my customers what they wanted, I would have built a faster horse.
Right.
So you have to understand the customer's problem.
And now we have the Mustang.
Yeah. The electric Mustang with the sound maker. But you have to understand what is that customer's problem and solve it. A lot of product managers, a lot of entrepreneurs, startup folks, a lot of them come from the product world.
Right.
And why a lot of them fail and why I love to hire failed entrepreneurs is they have an idea about a product and they love their product. And they ask customers, what do you think? What do you want me to build? What do you want me to build? When I think of the great, truly innovative human beings in the world, my father did not go and ask 70,000 people that go through the New Jersey Turnpike, exit 109 every day and say, what would you like me to do? None of them said, take defense technology that can read a reader going 70 miles an hour, put a database in place, have a prepaid account, and make it so I don't have to fucking stop at that toll booth. No one tells you what to do, because if someone told you that, they would go and do it. But you fabricate it by understanding and you observe and you're like, wow. You know what's a big problem that electronic toll collection solved? Air pollution. Why? When you stop to pay a toll and then you reaccelerate, you are wasting gas and you're burning energy. So you know what? The environmentalist lobbyists like it. It's another value proposition. There's so many ways of doing it. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake of asking the customer, what do you want? Instead of understanding their pain, understanding their wants, understanding their pain, and making the leap of thinking of something new. And that something new solves the pain that the customer may not realize that they're experiencing. In 1979, the average driver in the United States accepted tolls as the way it is.
Right.
It's amazing. They accepted it as the way it is.
Love it. So Kaseya was an amazing journey. Obviously, marquee customer, marquee company. Everyone knows Kaseya. I say Kaseya when I talk about Miami.
Yeah.
Do you know Kaseya? Then you know Miami Tech.
You know Kaseya? We've had over 150 marriages come out of Kaseya.
150 marriages. Wow. Share more about that. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that might be like the biggest success.
People,
That's like a few.
Yeah, people met their spouses and but I think the number is 150.
Wow.
150 marriages. We had
and what's the employee count today?
5,000-ish.
Wow.
Plus or minus,
right,
depending on hiring and firing and all that stuff. Another interesting fact about Kaseya is one of the things I'm most proud of was one of the most philanthropic companies out there.
Oh, really? Share more. And why is that important for companies to be philanthropic?
I don't know if it's important for a company. It's important for me. As a co-founder and CEO, I have the right to kind of do some things that I want to do. But I do believe our customers are small business owners.
Yeah. And
most small business owners are good people. Most people are good people. Most small business
America
owners,
runs a small business.
It does, 100%. And we created something called Cooper Cares. Cooper was my dog. And the Cooper Cares was our philanthropic arm. And we did causes for veterans, animals, local communities, and local education. And we'd have big conferences, maybe 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people come to our conferences in Vegas. In Miami, we always made sure we did a big conference in Miami every year, help our economy here. And, we do events, 6:30, 7 in the morning. You'd have 2,000, 3,000 people stuffing bags for local vets, raising money for animals. So when I think about Kaseya, yeah, we all made a ton of money. We're still making it. We're changing this industry. MSPs are now one of the most lucrative verticals in the world. Private equity firms are buying MSPs because Kaseya allowed them to have profit margins in the 30s and 40s, not the 5s and the 10s. But over 150 marriages, over 2,000 employees here in Miami.
Wow.
And I don't know the exact number, but I would gauge it's well over $50 million of direct and indirect contributions to, veteran, animal, and child welfare causes. So
that's epic.
Yeah.
That's really special.
All without sacrificing company value. We were not a social organization. The mission is always maximize shareholder value, maximize value experience for the customer, maximize employee wealth creation. We didn't become a social enterprise. We did it while remaining true to the capitalist roots, and that's a great, great, great thing about Kaseya.
100%. So building Kaseya in Miami, let's go back maybe a couple of years ago. What was it like? What was it going to the world and saying, I'm building Kaseya, this powerhouse here?
Everyone thought I was nuts.
They thought you were nuts.
Yeah, so we did
investors, your customers, other
customers, not so much.
Okay.
Yeah, but investors and peers, oh yeah, you're going to Miami, people are going to look outside and party. They're going to party all day. And what they didn't realize was it's a city, I said it earlier, it's a city of immigrants. And people work harder when they feel there's something to prove. New York City was a city of immigrants 120 years ago. Boston, 120 years ago, right? Same thing. And look at all the great work ethic that drove from there. We built the Empire State Building in like 13 months.
Yeah, that is a wild stat.
That's insanity to think about that.
I wish we could build fast like that now.
Yeah, I think it was 13 months. Might have been 11. But so the investment community thought I was nuts. Kaseya was an asset that was in big trouble. So it's like, yeah, Kaseya's going to go away. They thought it was a crazy idea. Then they said, all right, maybe you can hire some salespeople there, but you can never hire engineers here. There's no engineers in Miami. All right. Well, you can't hire finance people. They're all in New York and Boston, and you're not going to find good finance people. Okay.
And just remind the audience, what years are these comments
this
coming?
This is like 2014, 15, 16, 17, 2017, 18, we did a recap. We marked it like we did a recap. We brought in TPG.
Yep.
Wonderful investors, by the way.
Yep.
Raj is a great guy. So we sold a very small part of our company. It was the first structured transaction in large scale software, actually.
Oh, wow.
Scott Cameron from Evercore was the banker who put it together. It was a great deal. And so we marked it roughly $1.75 billion then. Now we're worth, 10x that.
Yep.
But so it's a unicorn, back when unicorn meant something. And people are like,
I don't think it means much today.
Yeah, now it's like, but it was a cash unicorn, not a paper unicorn.
Even better. Yeah.
And they're like, wait, you're in Miami? You have engineers in Miami? How do you do this? And that was the questions and diligence from, all the Bains and the Franciscos and all the large tier one, Toma, Vista, all the tier one investors. I'm like, yeah, this is what we're doing, because our labor costs are 50% less than New York, San Francisco, Chicago, LA, Boston. And I would put our talent above them because they're gritty. And they come to the office, and we're an in-office company, and it's a machine. And they're like, wow.
So were you recruiting people from South Florida? Were you bringing them to South Florida?
Yeah.
And what was that like in 2017, 2016? Because this is before COVID. This is before like the big AI wave. Miami, we'll talk about in a little bit, is very different now. But I think this is well before the AI wave. I hear all the time about there's no talents in Miami. You can't recruit people to Miami. I think that's a skill issue usually, that you can't recruit people. That's your problem. But talk to us a little bit about like how you got great people, because you scaled to a significant size.
Yeah. So, to get called 2,500 people or 2,200 people, you have executives, managers, individual contributors, interns, everywhere in between. We brought several people from quote unquote the outside. We relocated a handful of people, but we were mostly going with organically grown talent. There's a methodology that we put in place. And again, Yoki was very helpful in teaching me this in my early 20s. Grow your own. Tell you why. Most people have bad habits. In the software business, in the software industry, it was impossible not to make money.
Right.
From
the great bull run.
From the early 90s to the mid 2000s, there were people in enterprise companies who were bonused to buy software.
That's why.
Just get as much software as you can. I mean, this is the early days of tech. So many people had successful careers and were very successful because they were at Oracle. They weren't good. They were at Oracle. You get them out of Oracle, they suck.
Right.
Or they were at Salesforce, or they were Microsoft, and they just rode the wave. So when I think about Miami, it's like, give me 5 hungry kids coming out of FIU. FIU is an amazing place to get young, aggressive, smart, real-world people. And they'll learn how to code. They'll learn, I mean, how hard is it to build a spreadsheet? They'll learn how to sell. And they do it because they've never experienced anything being given to them.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And that's what we did. And if I look today, I look at a couple hundred millionaires that liquid millionaires, not just the stuff on paper. We had multiple liquidity events, liquid millionaires.
Keyword liquid millionaires.
Liquid millionaires.
Yes.
I mean, come on, everyone's got billions of dollars on paper.
Right.
But it's liquid. And, I look at the event I mentioned with TPG, we had another event in 2022. We paid, large liquidity events to people. And people just run in my office hugging me, crying. And here's the answer. I was able to buy my parents their first house. I was able to bring my abuela over from Cuba.
Wow.
I mean, these are not, I'm buying a Ferrari or I'm buying a jet or I'm buying
I'm going to Saint-Tropez and spending
I'm gonna
real world people.
Like people where it matters.
Right.
And these people are making millions of dollars and they're like, this is what I'm doing. And the rest is going to the bank.
Right.
Because it's going to the bank because you never know.
Right.
And what's next? It's like, okay, we did that. Now what's next? How do we overtake ServiceNow and market cap in the next 8 years? What is our plan? What are we going to do? And, I've done companies in the Valley. I've done nothing. There's nothing like it. So back to your point about Miami, sure, we grabbed and relocated some people. And the people, when they relocated here because they saw what I just described. Joe Smolarski was my chief operating officer. One of the most talented people you'll ever see. He's from Philadelphia. I'm from New Jersey. He's from Philly. So, it's not his fault. He's from Philly. Incredibly successful guy. Lived in Philly, lived in New York, did a lot of things. And I brought him on board to be our COO. This is early days, like maybe 2016. And he's like, Miami? He's like, all right, I guess I'll do it. I trust you. And obviously it worked out well. He has since left Kaseya. He's now the CEO of a company called WatchGuard.
Yep.
WatchGuard is a company based in Seattle. Where do you think WatchGuard's moving to? He's relocating that company to Miami. Why is he doing that? Because Miami is where people produce and people have more loyalty and people are more entrepreneurial. An immigrant is entrepreneurial because they tolerate risk. And an entrepreneurial workforce, not necessarily entrepreneurs, but an entrepreneurial workforce is absolutely critical for the success of a business in the AI era when you have to pivot every 4 hours.
Correct.
Mike Sanders is a native Miamian. Mike Sanders is one of our Kaseyans. My Kaseyans. Good friend of mine as well. And so Mike was a chief product officer, chief revenue officer, a general manager. He grew up through the ranks at Kaseya. He was a sales rep at one point at Kaseya. Now Mike is the CEO of a company called UpShop, one of the most innovative AI-first companies that's changing grocery. Where do you think he relocated UpShop to? He's in Miami in the same fucking building I'm in. Why is he doing that? He wants access to the talent. I took over a company called Simpro.
Yeah, I want to get into that. I want to talk about your Simpro and how you're going to replicate a lot of the success at Kaseya on Simpro.
Yeah, so what we do at Simpro, again, another one that I moved it to Miami.
And you're the CEO of Simpro as
Chairman and CEO.
Chairman and CEO as of how many months ago? 4 months ago? 5 months ago?
About 3.5 months.
3.5 months ago.
Wow, it's going fast. So what we do at Simpro, this is so cool. This is so badass and cool. I just get excited about disruption. It's just fun, man, right?
We were talking about how big this market is. Talking about TAM a little bit.
So what we do at Simpro is we have what's called field service management software. That's the anchor of the platform. Field service management software is like the logistics and operating system for any business that has people that go in the field to do work. So every industry, electricians, plumbers, facilities management people, every single industry, every trade, anyone that has workers in the field. Now, 99% of those companies are small to mid-sized businesses. So the company that manages this building, the plumbing company, the electric company, the facilities management company, the roofing company, they're all on contract. They're all doing maintenance, and they're managing this building and the 50 buildings and then the area around it. And it's a probably 40 to 60 person company. And that person who owns that company is hiring middle-class, blue-collar Americans. That's what they're doing. That is where most are employed, giving them damn good jobs. And the owner of that business is struggling. It's making about 7% profit margin, similar to the IT and security service people. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And these people, these tradespeople, they are the second responders of the world.
Right.
So, I hate to be bleak, but I remember after 9/11, that was fucking horrible. And I remember our offices we made it out okay and everything, but, there was a call for anyone to go help. We thought, we being New Yorkers and people over in New York, we thought that there were 40,000 people buried alive at that point.
Oof.
That was like, I'm talking the immediate aftermath. So, the military came down because nobody knew. The fire was there, the police, the fire, the military, EMS, and within hours, there was a call. Anyone that has any metal skills, any welders, any carpenters, anybody, we need you because we have to dig these people out. And, so a lot of us, I don't have those skills. We all lied. Fuck it. We got to go help people. This is our country. And I still get emotional thinking about it. And it was like the next people there. And just so maybe listeners don't realize, the whole fucking place was on fire. An area, a 20-acre area was 150 feet high of rubble that was on fire. Yeah. And these first responders, they're all dead, right? The second responders are in there. No one, you step on a, I can't describe it. It was like Hades. And they're in there, the second responders. So something bad happens. These are the people. And their businesses suck. They do so much good for our society, and their businesses suck. And most of them, when business gets bad, they don't lay people off. They take less money.
Right.
That's the way it is in that industry.
Right.
My dad would have been so damn proud. What a great industry. What a great group of people to change their lives. So I started looking at it, and I'm looking at the Simpro company. It's a small company, do maybe 350 million revenue, maybe 1,000 people around the world. It's not a big scaled company. And we have this banging field service management product. And field service management is like it's like the workflow automation. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, why don't we build an operating platform for them? We have this new thing, not new, but we have this new thing called large language models, right? Which is new for some people. We have so much data. This is a big, giant logistics problem. Let's fix it. So what we are doing at Simpro is we're the largest, most profitable startup in the world. We're 300 million, making 100 or whatever, and growing 40%. But we are a startup because we are building something that is changing all of these trades businesses, all of these business service businesses, so that their profit margins go to 25%. So they don't have to worry about coming home at night and saying, I have a $5 million business. That's a lot of money. I don't care if you're Bill Gates. $5 million is a lot of money. And I'm making $250,000 a year profit. $250,000 a year is a great living for anybody. But if you make $250,000 a year and you're employing 45 people and you have 3 kids, you're struggling to send them to college. Yeah. You have a $5 million business, you make $250,000 a year, and you're struggling to send your kids to college. And your business is the second responders of society. They allow us to do this podcast. They make sure the lights work. They make sure the toilets are cleaned. Imagine if our air conditioning wasn't working. We'd be miserable.
Would not work in Florida. No one would come. No talent would come to Florida if there's no AC.
So that entire industry will be changed by Simpro. It's the biggest TAM I've ever seen. Kaseya was a huge TAM. TAM is 10x it. And I think that when we're talking again, if you'd be nice enough to have me on your show at some point in the future, we're talking in 5 years, maybe 6 years. Simpro is one of the 20 most valuable software companies, pure software, on the planet. The TAM is that big. The problem is that big. And the emotional connectivity that we can make with our customers because we're changing their lives. And it's not that hard. With AI, it's not that hard.
So I love that, and I totally am a bull on Simpro. You put a great event on a couple of weeks ago, the Coming Disruption. You took over the Frost Center. a lot of these people from Goldman or General Atlantic. It was a great, like you put on probably one of the better events I've seen in Miami.
No, thank you.
Will you do that again?
100%.
And what is the value of live events for Kaseyas or the Simpros of the world, and what value do you get out of the coming disruption? It was probably, I mean, we went so deep into AI, and it was the most non-fluff conference I've been to in a while. But talk to us a little bit about hosting these large events, how it's beneficial to Simpro and Kaseya, and then maybe a little about AI, like where's it going?
Yeah, so we'll talk about the coming disruption first, and AI, and then events in general.
You can't AI is not going to replicate IRL events, right? We're going to always have IRL. We're always going to do events. We're always going to be humanoids are not going to do events.
So my father, he really wanted me to write a book. I went to New Jersey public schools. I can barely spell. So I'm like, all right. He said, just write a book. You got a problem with it? He was, you know, it was a tough time, but he's promised me to do a couple things in life. One of them is write a book. I'm like, Dad, you say I'll fucking run through a wall, do whatever you want. And so I'm like, well, what am I going to write a book about? And, you know, I was lucky enough that even going back to the Identify days, we were looking at like machine learning, some of the, you know, early predecessors to what is now modern AI. So, you know, I understood it. And when the public language models, large language models came out, you know, I was the kid in the candy shop. I'm like, oh my God, like as an entrepreneur who has not left his technical roots, like, you know, some people become totally commercial, which is great. I'm like, this is fun. And so I'm like, I'm going to write a book about AI, not about how to use it. And I mean, the technology is, it's evolving so fast, it's commoditized. I was going to write how it's going to impact, how it will disrupt. And I started researching. I don't know how to write a book. You can go writing a book for dummies, but I don't know how to write a book. So I'm using AI to help me figure out how to write a book, which was an experience in itself as well, and just learn. And so here's where I came out at the other end. AI is, and I'll give some data points here, and I hope they're exactly right. So this is going off of memory. I wrote the book, you know, I finished it like 4 or 5 months
ago. We're gonna link the book and
all right, good. Yeah, I don't remember the exact numbers, but so AI is without a doubt the most powerful technology for human productivity advancement in the history of humanity. So here's a couple of data points. In the last 2,000 years, human beings have gotten about 1,000% more productive. So that means it took 1,000 people to produce 1 unit of output today. That's why a lot of us are fat, because we have enough food. 2,000 years ago, we were, you know, running around trying to spear boar. I don't know. But in that 2,000-year window, it wasn't a linear approach. It was spikes. You know, one of the biggest and earliest spikes in human productivity, this is actually a little before 2,000 years ago, was coinage. Mm-hmm. It replaced the barter system.
Right.
Think about that. Right. You know, I have chickens, you have goats.
Right.
But you want lumber, not chickens. Oh, shit, I got to go. I mean, it just changed everything. The written word's another example. But in more modern times, electricity. Think about the disruptive capacity of electricity. It changed everything. Everything. Computers, the internet, they changed everything. So if you look at the computer and internet revolution, it took from a period of like 1992 to 2022, 2022, that window, we got about 100% more productive as a species. That's one of the 20 most productive years of all time. And it averaged, 3-4% a year compounded. With AI, the amount of productivity that a human being gains in 1 year is 100%. And there's no infrastructure to do that. If electricity averaged a 3% a year improvement in human productivity or 1.3% over 100 years, you had to lay all the cable, you had to build power plants. There's so much infrastructure. Right now, you can eliminate the need for a ghostwriter. The whole ghostwriting industry is gone.
Totally.
I have content marketing in my companies. I told the story at the conference. One of my companies, I had 30 some odd content marketers, content writers. I have one now, and they outproduce it by a factor of 5. We've never seen anything like this in the world. So I wrote a book about how is this going to impact businesses, the financial sector, education, and then a little bit about society. And it's more about how do you win? How do you become the disruptor, not the disrupted? So I really liked it. And I talked with, I've been blessed where I've met really smart people. You said that you saw some at the conference.
Yeah, they were unbelievable.
So, throughout the course of the book, I'd call like Brian Sheff, the founder of Vista, ask him some questions, or I don't know, Jason Wright from Apex, who lives here in town in Miami, or Yoki, or Mark Nevins. There's so many people. And then they said, all right, why don't we all get together and just talk about these topics, not have a conference. Like I was like, guys, come on my boat, or come to my house, come to my apartment, and we'll sit down and we'll talk about it. And Kate, my friend Kate, my chief of staff and the woman who runs my life, she said, why don't we put on a conference? Because people need to hear this. Because she read one of the early manuscripts and she was like, holy shit, like, let's put on a conference. I'm like, a conference? I'm like, all right, like, cool. No sponsors. All my money.
Right.
I don't want any sponsors. I don't want any bullshit. I want any.
No, there was no vendors there or anything.
Nothing.
It was straight, like, tactical content.
Every sponsor was one of the companies I owned.
Right.
So I just wanted to give myself a little marketing, right? But it was my friends that were going to be there. I wanted my friends to talk. And my brother was one of the speakers there.
Yeah.
And as it evolved, I'm like, this could be something great for the town, the city. Because Miami should be the AI first city, because in order to operate in the AI first era, you need to be entrepreneurial. And there ain't a city in the world, save maybe Dubai, that's more entrepreneurial than Miami. And I think we got Dubai licked. So
we have the US dollar.
With the US dollar, well, we're the best country
in
in
America.
the world.
I mean, with respect, this is the USA, baby.
Yeah, hands down. Everyone else can go, But in terms of like the culture of entrepreneurialism and disruption. So I'm going to put this conference on. I figured maybe 50, 100 people there. We ended up like 550 people and all walks of life. And we had some really interesting sessions. And I think a lot of people, myself included, I learned so much. I mean, hearing the head of investment banking at Macquarie, my brother that runs energy for Arians, hearing Mayor Suarez, all talk about power.
Right.
And how the biggest challenge that we will see in the AI era is that the United States cannot generate enough power. And we're going to be rationing power in the next 18 months. 99.999% of people in this country do not realize that their power will be rationed and they will be competing with Google and all these people for power like now.
And so Google should subsidize some of that cost, or should that go to the...
I mean, these are questions that are beyond my pay grade.
That's fair. I'm a big fan of more data centers in Florida versus Mississippi or Alabama. I think we should win those deals. And I think that would power some of the AI economy here.
100%.
But yeah, there is some...
But how important energy is. Like, who thought energy is the most important part of it? So
now we're talking about Greenland.
Yeah, a lot of reasons. We're talking about space and a lot of different things. So that was the conference, and it will be an annual event in Miami.
Amazing.
And it will not be sponsored.
Amazing.
It will not be listen, there's nothing, I'm a commercial guy. I'm a capitalist through and through. But this event is for our city, and it will never, as long as I run it, and it's mine, I paid, so it will not be a sponsored event, and we'll continue getting the smartest people in the world, particularly those that have a commitment to Miami, to talk about these topics so we can lead as a country and we can lead as a city.
I love it. Yeah, it was an epic conference. I can't wait for the summit next year. Hopefully, maybe we'll put up a podcast studio out front next year and do that as that's going.
Would love it.
As in between sessions. So we have a couple minutes here, but I want to go, before we do some rapid fire, close up on Miami.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you see Miami looking like in the next 10 years. What does a Miami 2036 look like for Fred?
A lot more buildings.
A lot more buildings. Downtown. I live in Brickell. Downtown. It's. I think it's going to be crazy urban density.
Yeah, I live downtown. Yeah,
crazy urban density.
So I decided not to run for mayor this time.
Right. I think you put your name in the hat for a minute.
I did. Yeah. I had some physical challenges that prevented me from doing it. So I unfortunately wasn't able to do it.
I would have loved to support you. I think we need commercial sense, but maybe bigger than that.
Look, I think Mayor Suarez did a great job.
He did.
I'm sure Eileen's gonna do a great job.
Yes.
I support anytime she needs anything. I will do it. But when I think about the city that, I have two homes. I grew up in New Jersey, so I'm always going to want New Jersey and Monmouth County, New Jersey do well. But this is my home, and I love it. What I think we're going to see, I think we're going to see more and more of the smart money moving here. Not just the rich people,
right?
So if you're, General Atlantic, or if you're, GTCR is already starting to move down here. Some of the larger, Thoma Bravo, Orlando's down here. And Orlando's very involved in the community. He actually gives a shit.
Yep.
We'll see more of that, but we'll also see more of the average rank and file people, not just at the financial communities, at the law firms, at any professional organization. Because Miami, while people in Miami say Miami's expensive, and it's gotten expensive relative to what it was, a 2-bedroom apartment in Manhattan that's $7,500 a month is $3,000 a month in Brooklyn.
Correct.
There's no state income tax.
Correct.
We have Democrats and Republicans here, but neither one of them are crazy.
Correct.
You don't run into the craziness that you see in other cities.
And they blend socially.
Right. I'll have a dinner meeting with a liberal friend, a conservative friend, and a libertarian friend. Yeah. Try that in New York or Chicago. They try to kill you. They're crazy. People have common sense. People live here because they want what's better. And what we have is the closest thing to utopia for an urban area in the country. Now, we have some problems. We have some transportation things we got to address, but we have a bright line.
Right.
Our bright line is better than the Northeast Corridor high-speed train that they run there. It's unbelievable. But we need some transportation work. Our airport needs some work. I think you'll see a lot more scaled companies moving here. I think that Kaseya set the stage that, look, it's easy to build a company of 50 to 100 people. That's easy. But getting 2,500 people in Miami, not in the Miami area,
right,
in the city of Miami, and having them show up every day in the office in R&D, product, sales, marketing, finance, accounting, you name it, HR. People did not think that was possible, and now it is. We're doing it again at Simpro. We'll have 500 people here this time next year.
Amazing.
And then 1,000, 2,000. You're seeing more and more of that. And I think we're also going to see the extension of Miami. Where we're at now, we'll see looking more like downtown. Obviously, we'll keep what makes, Wynwood, but you'll see more of an extension. And I don't think we will see the negative parts of gentrification that we've seen in other cities, where we lose the identity. Miami does a good job. We have done a good job of keeping the DNA of our city while making it nicer, instead of whitewashing the whole thing and making it vanilla.
Well, you talked about when you first got here, there was dancing on the street. I still see you dancing on the street every single day. I was walking around last night and it was pre-Super Bowl Bad Bunny concert.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about Miami, one of the things that's so unique about it, when I was 23 years old, I would go to Mansion, which is a club back then, or places like that. And I'd be hanging out with people my age, all different ethnicities and stuff. But people my age, I'd be hanging out with construction workers, bankers, lawyers, and people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. I see the same thing today. It's so unique. You go to dinner. I was on the beach at Prime Italian the other night. And
great spot.
Yeah, I was there. It was like maybe 10:30 at night. And there was a couple there with 3 little kids, well-behaved little kids. Who has dinner with their kids at 10:30 at night? People in Miami do, because that's what we do. And I was hanging, and they started talking. I was playing with the kids. We're hanging out. You don't see that in New York anymore. You don't see that in Boston. And I love Boston. I love New York. I love LA. I love every part of our country. But Miami is unique.
So we're both bulls on Miami. I think we're going to go build this together. As we close up, let's do a quick rapid fire. Favorite neighborhood in Miami?
South of 5th.
Favorite restaurant you've been to in the past couple months?
Prime Italian.
Prime Italian. Most underrated part of Miami that has the most growth in the next couple of years?
Downtown.
Downtown. I agree. Simpro. Where do you want to be in a year from now? You said 500 employees?
Yeah. 500 in Miami, 500 employees in Miami, approaching $1 billion of recurring revenue.
Love it. And then just to close, for our listeners, tactically speaking, life advice. If you're a founder, operator looking to take a big risk, what would you say to them? Like, what is the lesson that they should go after you've taken tons of risks, you've done it, they're just getting started? What should they go think about?
In a rapid round, I would say win.
Win.
Don't listen. There's a couple things one can control and some things one cannot control. You should never be outworked, ever. If someone gets outworked, I have no time for them. It's inexcusable. And be honest with yourself. If you want to go down that life path, you will make sacrifices. There are parts of my life that I sacrificed. And you have to make sacrifices. There's no such thing as a 31-hour day. I wish there was. Maybe Elon Musk will figure it out. I'm sure he will. But You have to make sacrifices. You can never be outworked, and be honest with yourself. I give this analogy all the time to founders. Everyone wanted to get a 4.0 in college, all A's. Most people have the capacity in undergrad to get a 4.0 because grade inflation is a joke. I mean, everyone can do it. So why doesn't everyone do it? Because they don't really want it, because they want to go out 4 nights a week, and they're happy with the 3-4 they get. And that's fine. That's great. Just don't fucking lie to yourself. If you want to be a founder and create something great, that's your life. And if you're not thinking about it all day long, if it doesn't bring you joy to disrupt and to change, don't waste your fucking time.
Amen. On that note, Fred, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me.
This is the Playbook. We're looking forward to doing it again. And all the success to Simpro and Fred in next year.
Thank you. Pleasure, man.
Pleasure, man. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.